Hello guys, welcome once again to the Socialist channel, Government Made Easy. Now, I'm going to be completing that video I actually made, the complete part for Introduction to Government. This is going to be the complete video for that first video I dropped. So please, before we continue, I would love you guys to watch, make sure you always watch the videos to the end. Very, very important. Don't allow laziness and procrastination and make you miss every part of the video. Watch the video to the end and don't forget to subscribe, like and share. Very important. Now let's continue. Observe. Now in the previous class I talked about the government and the state. Observe. I talked about the government and the state, and I told you guys that can the government exist or function without a state? I said no. Then I told you guys that can a state function or exist without a government? Class, the answer is yes. And I told you guys I was going to prove it. Oh yeah, observe. Class, it is the existence of the state that gives birth to the government. It is the existence of the state that gives birth to the government. Therefore, without the existence of a state, there is no government. Oh yeah, check this side now. But a state can exist and function without a government, but it is very dangerous because a state that exists or function without a government, it means that if a state not get government, any state will not get government, that state not get law. Observe. A state without a government, that state does not also have law. Why? Any state when get government, it therefore means that class, the state will have law, because when there is a government, the first thing the government do is to enact the constitution, that is the law. Therefore, a state without a government does not have law. It's going to lead to what we call anarchy. Observe, they go ask you this question. The non-existence of a government in a state leads to what? It leads to what we call anarchy. And the word anarchy means a lawless state. Yeah. The word anarchy here means a lawless state. So if you see this word in your exam on the word anarchy, what does it describe? It describes a lawless state. But ladies and gentlemen, do not mistake anarchy for a guy called anarchist. At the program they give you so see the word called anarchist. Anarchy is a word used to describe a lawless state. But anarchist is a person who does not believe in law and government. I repeat, anarchy is a word that is used to describe a lawless state, but the word anarchist is not a word. Anarchist is a person who believes that government and law is not needed or necessary in a state. You feel am? So if I see anarchy, I see anarchist. Which of the person? Should be an anarchist? I mean, yes. Then which one of the person? Which is anarchy? Which of them is a word that describes a lawless state? Is it anarchy? But which of them is a person that believes that government and law is not needed or what? Or waiting or important? Now waiting anarchist. So know these 2 points. Observe, for the government and the state, that the government cannot exist without a state, but a state can exist and function without the government. But it therefore means that a state that functions without the government does not have law, and that state will lead to what called anarchy. And the word anarchy is described as a lawless state. Why the word anarchist here is not a person, is not with a word, but a person who believes that government and law is not needed or necessary in a state. You understand, Abi? Go through them again, maybe you reason that, just the observe them so that you will get the explanation well. Now let's move on to the next aspect. The next aspect is what we call the functions of the government. But before we look at the functions of the government, let's talk about the characteristics or features of the government. What are the characteristics or features of the government? The characteristics, class, or features of the government. Don't forget, class, observe, the word characteristics also means features. The word future also means attribute. All of them here are the same thing. If you hear them for example, or you see them for example, the word characteristics also means futures. The word future also means attribute. So what are the characteristics? They can ask you a question now. Which of these is not a characteristics of the government? When they still ask you again, say, which of these is a feature of the government? You will call law, say, which kind of question be this? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is the same thing. Characteristics is also known as future. And whenever you hear the word future, it also means within an attribute. Now, what are the attributes of a government? For a government to actually perform well, there are some attributes this government have to possess. Number one is what we call law. One is what we call law. The law simply means the rules and regulation that state how a government rule a state or a country. That is one of the features of a government. Then another characteristics of the government is what we call political power. Political power is another one, class. When we say political power, what do we mean? Political power is simply the power that is vested on the government on how to exercise or carry out the function in a state. It is the power vested on the government in steering the affairs of a state. So that's what we call political power. The political power is the power vested on the government on how to control or manage the affairs of a state. Another one again, another feature of the government or characteristics of the government is what we call legitimacy. See, legitimacy. And when we say legitimacy, it means that for a government to function or exist very, very well, it has to go through the stipulated procedures of the constitution. It has to go through electoral procedures that is stipulated in the constitution. You understand? So for a government to also function well, it has to have the attribute we call legitimacy. And this guy we call legitimacy, what do you mean? It means that the government must go through the electoral procedures as stipulated by the constitution. Now observe, we still get another one. They call them social service. We have another function known as social service, class. When we say social service, what do we mean? It means that the activities of the government, the duties of the government to a state, for example, electricity, creation of road, you understand, potable water, hospitals, all these are the social activities of the government. It's their social activities. Then another feature again, class, observe, is what we call security. Security, that is, it is their duty to protect the lives and properties of the citizens. You understand? Then we get another one called revenue. We have what we call revenue. We have revenue. Revenue here means what? Money. When we say revenue, what do we mean? It means that for a government to be responsible and responsive, there must be revenue, money that the government will use to what? To rule a state, that it needs to sort out a lot of budgets. So we have revenue. So you observe now. So go through it again. We have law as a characteristic of the government. We have political power. We have legitimacy. We have security. We have social service. Then we have what? Revenue. So you go through the video well and listen to the explanation again. Are we there now? I am always now I have given you the characteristics and feature of the government. The next part that you should know under your introduction to government is this other part called the functions of the government. Very important. Please, not go the mistake characteristics of the government for function of the government. They're different. This part when I give you now the characteristics of the government, but the next part I want to give to you now is what we call the functions of the government. No time. Let's talk about the functions of the government. The functions of the government. Observe class. Now, when we say functions of the government, functions of the government. One of the functions of the government is lawmaking. Very important. One of the functions of the government is lawmaking. Lawmaking is one of the functions of the government. Another function of the government is maintenance of law and order. Maintenance of law and order. Another function of the government is the provision of employment. Provision of employment is another function of the government. Another function of the government is what we call protection of fundamental human rights. Protection of fundamental human rights. Keep on. Another function of the government is promotion of general welfare of the people. The promotion of general welfare of the people is another function of the government. Not forget. Bros, observe. We get another function of the government known as the promotion of growth and development. The promotion of growth and development is another function of the government. Are we there now? So these are the basic functions of the government that you must take note of. Another function of the government is what we call defense. Defense is another function of the government. Another function of the government is what we call representative, and we also have what we call empowerment. So these are what we know as the functions of the government. So the function of the government is quite different from what we call the characteristics or future of the government. Are we there now? Lastly, for this part, we are now going to treat the last part, which is reasons for studying government. Reasons for studying government. Observe. Reasons for studying government. More not for yet. Reasons for studying government. Now, if you see something like this, if you check your past question, they will ask you which of these is a reason why government is studied. Which of the following is not a reason for studying government? Now, whenever you hear the word reasons for studying government, observe what are the reasons. Now, ask yourself, you are a government student. What will be the reason why they study government, for example? What are the reasons? Now, let's go. One of the reasons, in case you don't know, reasons for studying government, one of the reasons for studying government is to enable the people to understand their political environment. To enable the people to understand their political environment is one of the reasons for studying government. Bros, observe. Another reason for studying government is also to enable the people, it's also to enable the people to know their political system. Is to enable the people to know their political system. Observe. Another knowledge for studying government, is to enable the citizen participate actively in government activities. Is to enable the citizens participate actively in government activities. Observe. Another reason for studying government, observe, wait till another reason. Another reason for studying government is to create in us or create in the people the spirit of nationalism. Now, when we say spirit of nationalism, what do we mean? The spirit of nationalism, we are talking about it in our freedom. Nationalism means freedom or independence. The other reasons why government is also being studied is to also create in the people the spirit of patriotism. When you hear the word patriotism, what does it mean? It actually means feelings or loyalty for one's nation. The love you have for your nation, the feeling, your loyalty to your nation. That's what we mean by patriotism. Are we there now? So these are some of the reasons why government is being studied. These are some of the reasons why government is being studied. Then lastly, please, I want to give you this point under government. Remember, there was a question they asked in your exam. They said, government can be viewed from how many dimensional ways? Government can be viewed from how many dimensional ways? Class, you will see something like this. Option A, 2. Option B, 3. Option C, 4. Option D, you will see 5. Please note, government can be viewed from 3-dimensional ways according to the scholars or authors in the field of studies. And what are the 3 ways? 1, government as an institution of a state. 2, government as a process or act of governing. Then 3, government as an academic field of study. So these are the 3-dimensional ways government can also be defined. Government as an institution of a state. 2, government as a process or act of governing. 3, government as an academic field of study. You might now ask yourself, when we say government as an institution of a state, what do we mean? Now, government as an institution of a state, which is the first one, can be defined as a machinery through which the will of the state is formulated, expressed, and realized. In other words, it is a body through which the desired objective of a state is achieved. So it is a machinery through which the will of the state is formulated, expressed, and realized. Then, if we talk about this guy, government as a process or act of governing, what do we mean? Government as a process or act of governing can be defined as the supreme power vested on a group of people to make and enforce law. As the supreme power vested on a group of people to make and enforce law and also maintain security. Example, executive, legislature, and judiciary. What will be the function of the executive to implement law? What will be the function of this guy, legislature, to make law? And what is the function of the judiciary to interpret law? Then lastly, government as an academic field of study. What do we mean by that guy? Government as an academic field of study can be defined as the governmental institution or agency. It is a governmental institution or agency. Now, nowadays, you will discover that it is this thing we call government. It's actually studied in schools, colleges, and universities. But in school, you call it government. But in other universities, it is not called government, but it's called political science. Are we there now? So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the part 2 of the introduction to government. You know, I treated the part 1 already. When you check my channel, you see introduction to government part 1. That is the first part. Then please, this is the other part, the complete part for the first video, introduction to government part 2. So I urge every one of you to please watch the video to the end for you to get every details and information. If you go through the video, you never still understand, watch it again until you understand every point, not the rush. So I will see you guys in my next video. Don't forget, make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Thank you very much. Awesome.